Hello, Professor Wood. This first art piece I was inspired by would be a piece made by Pablo Picasso called Weeping Woman with a Handkerchief. Pablo Picasso was born on October 25th, 1881, and died on April 8th, 1973. He is an incredible Spanish artist that created thousands of art pieces during his lifetime. When I visited the Museum of LACMA, I noticed he was one of the popular artists with a large crowd. Pablo Picasso was known as a great artist of the 20th century in the art movement. He has a unique style that separates him from other artists. An article describes his different styles, such as his creative styles: transcend realism, abstraction, cubism, neoclassicism, surrealism, and expressionism. Pablo Picasso was born and raised in Spain in 1881 and eventually moved to France, where he dedicated his time to art. Not only does Picasso create beautiful paintings in his career, but he also created more than 20,000 drawings, sculptures, ceramics, and other art pieces, such as costumes and theater sets, that have created recognition worldwide. This painting was created in early June 1937 when he used oil on this canvas. This painting was created during the Spanish Civil War that involved the Nationalists against the Republicans. This piece is known to be a metaphor for the tragedy that involved the bombing of the Basque town of Guernica. The woman in this painting is Dora Maar, who was Picasso's mistress and muse. He painted her for years and has created more than one image of her. This painting is sufficient because Picasso wanted to express the pain and grief that people were suffering by expressing emotions in the painting. The painting displays Dora's hand on her chest with a white handkerchief that has been excessively used. Picasso uses cubism, where he wanted to represent reality in his work. Cubism is described to be representing reality through art that brings together objects and figures in one picture. It is created to appear abstract in shattered pieces of shapes and figures. I believe he was trying to make a statement in this particular piece so that people could remember what was occurring during the time of this painting. His work carries a vision, and his use of line work, such as bright and dark colored tones, is what brings the mood of the painting to a dark place. He uses intense and bold line work to create a negative image by eliminating vibrant tones. The shapes and lines in this painting are bold to thin, sketchy lines, which gives it an uneven form. He uses a technique that creates vigorous shading in the piece, almost as if you could feel her grief and pain. I believe the meaning of this painting was that Picasso was trying to create a sentimental image of the tragedy that was occurring and wanted his viewers to be interested in the story behind the painting. A famous Picasso quote that stood out to me is, "Painting is a blind man's profession. He paints not what he sees, but what he feels, what he tells himself about what he has seen." This quote really relates to this painting because Picasso is applying his emotions and his opinion in his artwork based on what he has experienced. This next piece is by Ernst Ludwig Kirchner, known as Poster of Nina Hard. Kirchner was a great German artist of the early 20th century. His style focused on expressionism, which refers to the image of reality that is distorted to focus on capturing the artist's inner feelings and ideas. His work changed modern art because he was a dominant artist that created many paintings and many self-portraits like nude figures through classical and modern art. His ideas captured life and reality, where he expressed his creativity through his work. He always envisioned his art based on his personal experience and the true meaning of reality. The work that he has achieved was based on the cultural change in Germany. Kirchner was fascinated with the movement in Berlin and used his gift to paint realism art by incorporating a message into his pieces. He was inspired and gifted. He revived the old art of woodblock printing and saw himself in the German tradition, yet he rejected academic styles and was inspired by the modern city. Kirchner joined the German army but eventually got discharged due to substance abuse, where he became an addict and suffered from depression. Kirchner painted modern art, and his choice of color is what reveals detail and dimension. During his journey, the Nazis confiscated Kirchner's art as he was being diminished and were preventing him from selling his work. The Nazis believed his art was corrupted. Over 600 of Kirchner's paintings on display in public museums were confiscated and many were destroyed. Kirchner's artwork is culturally significant because he creates pieces describing an event that was occurring at that time. In this painting, Nina Hart was an expressionistic dancer. Kirchner met Nina in Switzerland, where they formed a close friendship. Kirchner portrayed Nina in multiple art pieces. He also helped her create sets for her performance, in which this image was used to promote her performance. His artwork includes detail that describes the modern world of the 1900s and 20th century. The brushwork and color use that is applied in this painting gives the image a strong feminine view. Color and line are always applied in his art pieces, and he believes that the use of color is what expresses emotions and personality. The colors reflect the mood he wanted his viewers to recognize. Kirchner was fascinated by Nina's performances and wanted to create a strong image of her where he uses dark, bold tones such as red, black, and blue. I believe the use of his line work is what gives the painting detail by applying rough and intense features that give the image aesthetic. He is an original artist, and it is interesting how he introduces nature and elegance in his work.